Hey everyone, today we are going to be looking at price rules inside of QuickBooks Online. How do you set one up? What is it used for? And some more things surrounding price rules. So as this video was being edited, I realized I forgot to mention three other things in the intro of this video. So here they are. The first is customer specific prices. The second is contract specific prices. And the third is how to set up price rules for a cost plus model, such as pricing materials for, let's say, construction, versus a generalized pricing system. So with that said, back to the video. So let's jump into QuickBooks Online, and I have it open here in front of me. So the first thing you want to do, if you haven't already, is go to your gear icon and go to Account and Settings, and here's where you want to turn on your price rules so you can begin to use them. Go into your account and settings, go down to sales, and find products and services, and just select that. And you'll see a turn on price rules option. And notice this is a beta feature. And so you see I already have mine turned on, so just make sure that toggle is turned on, hit save, and select done. So there's two places that you can find price rules and that you can get to them so you can use them. The first place is underneath your products and services. Just select edit on a product or service and scroll down until you see price rules. And here you can add a new price rule. And the second place you can find price rules once they've been added is go to the gear icon, go to lists, all lists, and underneath product categories, here is your price rules. And so we're just going to select that. So how do you add a new price rule? So once you find price rules, hit the green new price rule option, and here you're going to find multiple different drop downs and filters that you can use to find what you're looking for and apply price rules to your specific needs. So we're just going to go ahead and add a sample price rule here, and in this case I'm going to just put it across all customers. I don't need a specific customer, but I want it across all my customers. And also I'm going to use all products and services as well. And I'm also going to, for the price adjustment, you can do percentage, you can do a fixed amount, you can do a custom price per item. It's totally up to you. In this case, I'm going to do a percentage, and I'm going to increase. I'm going to do an increase by percentage, and we're going to do, just for sample, 50% increase of prices across all customers, all products and services. And if you like, you can round up to the nearest nickel, dime, and also use these rounding numbers as well, but I'm not going to use those. I just want the exact price, so I'm going to use no rounding. And what you can also do is you can put a start and end date. You don't have to, these are optional features, but you can put a start and end date. Let's say you're doing something, let's say you're doing like surge pricing, or you're doing the sale on your products, your inventory. Let's say you're doing it after Thanksgiving. You can select a date, and you can select a date after Thanksgiving, and you can have that price rule end on a certain date. Let's say January 2nd or January 3rd, when that surge pricing is no longer needed, or it's a sale price that's no longer needed. So that's a helpful thing to use when you want to apply it only during certain seasons to all your products, or even just a certain product or service that you're using or doing. So once we have everything filled out, you can just go ahead and apply the rule here, and make sure to hit save and close. And note that this is a beta feature, so sometimes it takes a while to load and it has to think, and it's still in the making process, if you will. So I'm just going to go ahead and refresh this. Another helpful thing that you can do for price rules is something you can apply the price rule by customer type. So for example, if we go to customers in the menu, and we want to add a new customer type, we can go to customer type buttons right next to new customer. And let's see, I already have contractors and wholesale. You can add different customer types that can then, a price rule can then be applied to that specific customer types. So that price rule will only go through and select, to that type of customer. And so how you do this in price rules is once you add your customer type, you go back to price rules. So let's find price rules and select new price rule. And under the customer dropdown here is where you select that customer type. So price rule can also be selected to customer type as well. And that may be a helpful feature that you may be looking for. So how do these price rules apply on actual prices? So something to note is that the price rules apply to the sales price of your product or service. So if a sales price is 0, of course the price rule is not going to work because it's not applying to anything. So make sure that your sales price is correct and it's working, and you have the correct sales price on it, so that price rule can then be applied to that price. So I'm just going to create a sample invoice so you see how the price rule will be applied on the invoice. If I can get out of this. And so let's go to invoices, and I'm just going to create an invoice here. So create invoice, and we're going to choose a customer. Let's just use Amy's Bird Sanctuary for a sample. And then let's see, you can go ahead and select your part and your service or whatever you need to add, and we can see here that our rates have been changed based upon the price rule. So this is where you will see your rate will be different from the original sales price if you've added the price rule, and this is where it will show. Now you can change that, and if you click on it, you will see the default sales rate versus the sample price rule, and you can actually select which price applies here. And you can see the price rule here and the default sales rate as well. So that is how you see price rules itself on the invoice. Another thing to note, if you are using projects in QuickBooks Online, and if you don't have projects already, price rules also apply to project invoices as well. So how you find projects if you need to turn them on is go to Account and Settings in the gear icon again, and go to Advanced all the way in the bottom, and you'll find a section for projects. And of course I already have mine turned on. Make sure that toggle is turned on, hit Save, and select Done. And so when using projects as well, price rules will also be applied to projects. So when I just made a sample project here, and when you make a new invoice or estimate for a project, those price rules will also be applied here as well. Now, if you need to, let's say, the downside and the disadvantage to this using projects is in price rules in and of itself is that you can't have multiple different price rules on customers for different projects. So for example, if I have many different projects for one customer, I can't have multiple different price rules for that customer because only one price rule will be applied to that customer. What you can do as a workaround but it's a manual thing, and you have to make sure to pay attention and that you don't miss the amount that comes on the invoice, because it is going to be manual. So that's the downside of this is on the amount in the invoice, you can change the amount and just manually add a different amount, manually add a different amount to what the price rule is or what's already on there. But human error can come in, and that's the disadvantage with that. So I just wanted to share that as well. So you can just go ahead and save that. So the only other thing that you could do for the price rules, if you need multiple different price rules for multiple different projects or contracts on the same customer, is what you can do is when you are making a price rule, you can select time parameters. Now there's limitations to this, of course, but when you select a new price rule, your start date and your end date, say you have a start date of the 1st and an end date of the 31st, you just have to make sure the first project, your projects are not happening simultaneously at the same time. So you just have to make a start date, and your project would have to be one project, and then you move on to the next project, and then the next project. So you have, if it's the same customer, you have multiple different project rates or, price rules for that project. So you just have to make sure your start and end dates don't simultaneously, overlap. So that's the disadvantage there for price rules and doing multiple project or contracts using price rules in QuickBooks Online. However, there is in Lexel Field Service, which is a field service software for the skilled trades industry, you can have multiple different projects simultaneously at the same time and still have a markup percentage and different price rule items for every single item and service and material that is being used for the project and for the job. So Lexel Field Service is something that you don't need to space them out. You don't need to have a start date, end date, and a start date, end date that don't overlap. You can actually have them and use them simultaneously with Lexel Field Service. And Lexel Field Service actually seamlessly directly syncs to QuickBooks. It uses QuickBooks data and syncs back that data and uses a streamlined work order process that goes right hand in hand with QuickBooks Online. So it's really helpful. It's helpful also in the way that QuickBooks Online doesn't specifically have a work order process or a streamlined work order route to follow, whereas Lexel Field Service uses QuickBooks data, that data synced from QuickBooks to Lexel Field Service. Lexel Field Service uses all of the data that has been synced in a streamlined work order process, creates an invoice with the price rule items and the markup percentages or whatever you need for each project in Lexel Field Service, and then syncs that invoice directly back to QuickBooks Online and shows up immediately in QuickBooks Online with a quick click of a button. There's a few things to mention as well that Lexel Field Service supports that's a little bit different than QuickBooks Online. QuickBooks Online is kind of generalized for pricing on projects, whereas Lexel Field Service is more designed for cost plus pricing, for materials and parts. And it's it can also be used in other fields. It's designed more for the skilled trades industry, but it's not limited to the skilled trades industry. It can also be used in other industries as well. Another thing to note about Lexel Field Service is that you can get scheduling, you can get inspections, you can get time tracking, you have work orders, that streamlined work order process. You use all the data from QuickBooks that has been synced over from QuickBooks without losing any information. You can do images, you can do documents, you can do authorization letters, there's inspection questions. There's so many other things that directly goes hand in hand with QuickBooks Online that's very helpful as well. I hope this video was helpful for you and navigating price rules, and whether it's on projects, whether it's for certain customers, whether it's for customer types, or whether it's for surge pricing or sale pricing for a certain time of season. If you're looking for software that does great with integrating with QuickBooks Online and has work orders and streamlines the process and actually creates invoices and syncs them directly to QuickBooks Online, and desktop using the same data, Lexel Field Service is a great tool to do that very thing. So thank you for watching this video. I hope it was informative and helpful for you, and we'll see you in the next video.